Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the lecture of Real Analysis 2. Let us have a look to the concepts, the propositions we have studied in the last lecture. There were two propositions we have studied. Okay. In the first proposition, we have taken an infinite decreasing sequence of measurable set such that m of E1 is less than infinity. With this condition, as this is an infinite decreasing sequence, in this kind of situation, it is E1 is the bigger set and all the remaining sets are the subsets contained in one another, right? Now, therefore, if this m of E1 is less than infinity, what does it mean? Measure of every set involved in the sequence is also less than infinity. With this condition, we have proved that m of intersection ei is limit n tends to infinity measure of en. For this, initially we have just drawn the sketch to understand. Later, we know that this measure is countably additive for pairwise disjoint sets. Now, just to make the pairwise collection of pairwise disjoint sets, we have defined a new set Fi to be Ei minus Ei plus 1. Therefore, what is the Fi actually? If I put the value of I is equals to 1, this is E1 minus E2, and this is what a region between the two sets E1 and E2, shaded with a orange color, right? Similarly, F2 will be a region between E2 and E3. Likewise, if we look at the sketch, all these regions are surely pairwise disjoint collection. Now, for this pairwise disjoint collection, we have just made use of Lebesgue measure is countably additive, and we have given the proof of the statement that measure of intersection EI is limit n tends to infinity m of En. Later, we have seen why the condition m of E1 less than infinity is essential. Because if it is not less than infinity, that is, if it is not finite, with the help of an example, we have discussed that the both left hand side and right hand side will not give us the same value. That is, limit n tends to infinity, m of En will get infinite value. That of m of intersection Ei we will get 0 value. Means this is not equal provided this condition do not hold, right? The second proposition goes on the parallel lines. Instead of taking infinite decreasing sequence, now we will start with infinite increasing sequence of measurable set. Same theory to prove. But here no condition was mentioned that the measure of the set is finite or infinite. Therefore, we have proved the proposition in two cases. Assuming one of the set measurable set is having a measure infinity, we have proved the result. Similarly, assuming the measure to be finite, again, whatever the process we have done for the previous proposition, same was repeated. That is, again, this pairwise, we want to find out the pairwise disjoint sets. That's why we have defined EI in this case to be EI plus 1 minus EI, because the sequence is infinite. Yes, the sequence which we have taken is infinite increasing sequence. Right now, for defining this Fi and proceeding very similar to the previous proposition, we have proved the result also. I hope there is no difficulty in both the results. Okay. Now in today's lecture, we were going to prove an important property of the Lebesgue measure, that the Lebesgue measure is translation invariant. Okay. Therefore, we will prove this as one of the lemma. Let me write the statement. What the statement tells us that let E be a measurable set. Why the condition of measurable set is essential always? Yes, students. Why the condition measurable set is essential? Because we have defined Lebesgue measure only on measurable sets. Correct, no? What is the domain of the Lebesgue measure function?
Collection of measurable sets.
Yes, it is collection of measurable sets. Also, in the definition itself, we have seen that outer measure is equal to Lebesgue measure for measurable set. Correct, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we are going to use that fact that Lebesgue measure is equal to outer measure for the measurable set. Now, what is our aim to prove? To prove that the translation E plus y E plus Y is measurable set. E plus Y is measurable set and M of E plus Y is equals to M of E. This is what we want to prove. With this, it will imply that the Lebesgue measure is translation invariant. So what is the first job actually to prove that whatever the translation E plus Y of E we have taken is a measurable set. Now, whenever we want to show any set is measurable, what we have to show? We have to go by the definition of measurable sets. No? What is the definition of measurable set? If I want
For
to
any
show
set
this, yes, for any set
for
A,
any set A, M star of A is greater than or equal to M star of A intersection E plus M star of
equal to, shall I write equal to?
greater equal or equal, yes.
Greater equal or equal, na? Therefore, let me write equals to. What is the job to prove? A,
Intersection E
no, for E plus Y measurable I am asking. If what I want to show for E plus Y is measurable. Is it A intersection E plus Y added with M star of A intersection whatever the
E
set
plus
its
Y complement.
Correct, no? Correct, no? This is what we should prove actually. Okay. Now what is the job? In order to prove the required result, we will start with the set E to be measurable. Okay. Or one can include this as a claim also. What is the claim for any set A? For any set A, this will be a claim, right now? M star. No need to write it differently. You can start this as a claim. This is what my claim is. Okay. Now what is given to us? E is measurable. Therefore, we will use the definition for E is measurable. What is given? Given that E is measurable. E is measurable set. Therefore, can I write M star of A equals to M star of A intersection E added with M star of A intersection E complement. Okay, here it is for any set A again. For any set A. Now look at what we have in our hand and what we wanted to prove. Correct now? This is the statement in our hand and this is what we wanted to prove. To prove this result, what I will do initially, we will try to use the result that M star itself is translation invariant. Correct no? Now if M star is translation invariant, may I write M star of A is equals to M star of A plus Y? Y is the translation scalar we have used, no? Since M star is translation invariant. M star is translation invariant. What we were going to write? Let us write translation invariant property for all the three terms involved in the statement. Let me call it as statement number 1. For may I write M star of A as M star of A plus Y? What about M star of A intersection E? Is it M star of A intersection E plus Y and M star of A intersection E complement is equals to M star of A intersection E complement added with Y. Is it clear? Now we will put all the values in statement number 1. Put the values in 1. Put the values in 1. So what is my left hand side? Is it M star of A plus Y is equals to M star of this A intersection E, we will replacing by M star of A intersection E plus Y added with M star of A intersection E complement added with Y. Yes, any difficulty in this?
No, ma'am.
Good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some properties of a set to find out this value. A intersection E added with Y. That is a translation of the set A intersection E. Now I'm going to write this as, okay, see, look at this carefully. What I'm going to write is A intersection E plus Y. I'm going to write as A plus Y intersection E plus Y. Similarly, for the second one also, this I am going to write as A plus Y intersection A plus Y intersection E complement plus Y. This is what one of the properties of the sets. Okay. Just to understand this, I will give you with a simple example so that the idea will be clear to all. This is not a part of your proof. This is what I am explaining. I am giving an example to explain this statement. Okay. Now, time being, we will take some two sets of a real number. For the sake of convenience, I will take those two as the intervals set. Suppose I am taking A to be an interval 0 to open interval. E I am taking some 1, 3. Okay. And the number Y I am going to take is 2, say. Okay. Now what we have to find out? First we will find out this, then we will find out this, and we will check whether these two are same. If this holds, no need to discuss about the second part. Correct? No. So second will hold automatically. Right? Now, first we will find out A intersection E plus Y. What is A intersection E? Yes, what is A intersection E? Somewhere here is my 0, 2, open interval. Okay, this is A. Where is E? E is from 1 to 3. What is the intersection then?
1, 2.
Yes, 2. Huh? Yes, this is open 1, 2, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what is A intersection E plus Y? That is open 1, 2 added with 2. How this addition is being performed? Addition is performed.
Open
It is actually shift.
3, 4.
Yes, it is 3, 4. Where is the new position then? Somewhere here is the new position. Correct, na? This is the new position, 3, 4. Now, what we have to find? We have to find A plus Y intersection E plus Y. And what is A plus Y? A is 0, 2 added with 2. Therefore, is it 0, 4? Sorry, 2, 4. Correct? What is E plus Y? E is 1, 3 added with 2. Therefore, this is 3, 5. Correct? And what is their intersection?
Open 3, 4.
Yes, it is open 3, 4 again. Oh, correct? This is some 2, 3, 4. And this is 3, 5. Okay, 2, 4 is A plus Y. Okay, 3, 5 is E plus Y. What is the intersection? 3, 4. Okay, understood? That's why we were writing. That's why we were writing A intersection E plus Y is A plus Y intersection E plus Y. If this hold, the second one is going to hold automatically. Okay. What is the meaning actually? First you find the intersection and then shift the interval by a vector Y. That is you translate, or first translate or shift both the intervals and then take the intersection. It gives you same value. That is what we have used here. Okay. Let us proceed now with the proof. If you look at this statement, now this statement is actually we have proved true for any set A. Correct na? For any set A. But in order to adjust this term, look at the first term of this red color and this first term. What should be a change? Here it is A intersection E plus Y. Here it is A plus Y intersection E plus Y. So this A plus Y should be A. Then we can prove this kind of statement. Therefore, what I will do, as the statement is true for an arbitrary A, it will be true for A minus Y also. This statement number, say, 2 I will call. This statement number 2, as it is true for arbitrary set A of real numbers, therefore it is equally true for A minus Y. If I replace A by A minus Y, what is this resultant A plus Y? This will give you A.
A.
Which will give us the first term, right? And the left hand side is also will give us the same value. Let me just replace. Okay, here it is plus Y. No, it is plus, not intersection. Okay, now I'll just write the statement. Since A is arbitrary, replacing A by A minus Y. Okay, getting me now why we were replacing A by A minus Y? Just to adjust the first term of our claim, right? Therefore, I am replacing A by A minus Y where? In 2. So let me write what will be a left side then? Is it m star of A simply? It is A plus Y. If I replace this A by A minus Y, this will be simply A. Here also it will be simply A, and here it will be simply A. But m star of A is m star of A intersection E plus Y added with m star of A intersection. What is the term? E complement plus Y. E complement plus Y. Okay. Now again, by the similar reasonings as we have taken with this example, one can find out the value of E complement plus Y. But this E complement plus Y can be written as E plus Y its complement. Therefore, replacing the value in the above statement, we can get m star of A is m star of A intersection E plus Y added with m star of A intersection. E complement plus Y, now I am writing E plus Y, it's a complement. Therefore, looking at this statement, may I say E plus Y is measurable set. E plus Y is measurable set. Okay. First point in the lemma we have proved that E plus Y is measurable. But what we have to prove further? M of E plus Y is M of E. Let us prove that point also. What is M of E plus Y? As it is a measurable set, may I write this as M star of E plus Y. Reason? M equals to M star for measurable set. As per the definition of Lebesgue measure. But what is M star of E plus Y? Just now we have proved now. M star of E plus Y is, sorry, not just now, it is translation invariant property. Correct? The reason M star is translation invariant. Okay. Translation invariant. But again, E itself is measurable. Therefore, again M is equals to M star. Hence, we have proved M of E plus Y is equals to M of E. Hence, the proof of the lemma. Yes, any difficulty if you have, you can ask. In order to prove A plus Y is measurable, our aim is to prove this kind of statement. Therefore, we have started with a given thing E is measurable and just we have tried to adjust a term like this. Okay? Yes, any difficulty with this? If you have, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll go to next preposition. Okay, students, am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will go to a next proposition. This next proposition actually gives us the characterization of measurable sets in different forms. Okay. This proposition is giving us the characterization of measurable sets in different form. Actually, this preposition is giving a preposition is having some 5 statement which we want to prove equivalent, and those five statements are regarding the existence of one superset of a measurable set with a certain property. Similarly, the existence of one subset of a measurable set with a certain property. Let me write the statement and explain what the properties are. Okay. Therefore, here again we will start with let E be a measurable set. Let E be a measurable set, and it is asked us to prove the statements are equivalent. Then prove that the following statements are equivalent. Is measurable. Second is given epsilon greater than 0. Given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set O containing E such that m star of O minus E less than epsilon. Number 3, given epsilon greater than 0, there is a closed set. There is a closed set F contained in E with or such that m star of E minus F less than epsilon. Number 4, there is a set G in G delta with E contained in G and m star of G minus E is equal to 0. Number 5, there is a set F in F sigma with F contained in E and m star of E minus F is equal to 0. If you look at the statements, you may feel these are some complicated statements, but no, these statements are very easy. Okay. Now I just explain you what the statement tells us, and then we will go for proving the statements to be equivalent to one another. Now look at this number 2 and number 4 statement. What this number 3 and number 4 statement tells us, for given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set O containing E. O containing E means what? This O is superset of E, no? Correct now? This O is superset of E. What is the condition? M star of O minus E less than epsilon. M star of O minus E. What is the region O minus E? This is the region, no? O minus E. Okay, and outer measure of this region is less than epsilon, and such a O exists for every given epsilon. This is what second statement tells us. Look at number 4. There is a set G in G delta. What is G delta sets? We have seen the
Countable
definition.
intersection of closed sets.
Countable intersection of?
Open sets.
Yeah, it's open set. This is countable intersection of open sets. Correct now? G delta is countable integer. Now number 4 statement says that there is one set G in G delta. One set G in G delta means what? This G is countable intersection of open set such that E is contained in G. E is contained in G means again E is a subset of G or G is a superset of E. And what is the condition? M star of G minus E is equal to 0. Okay, means what is the situation again? If this is G set and this is E set, right? And what this G? G is an element of G delta. That is, this G itself is the countable intersection of open set. And then we wanted to prove M star of G minus E equal to 0. What is the meaning of equal to 0? May I say the set is measurable? Outer measure 0 means the set
Yes,
is measurable. No? This is what one of the lemma we have proved. Correct? Therefore, number 2 and number 4, both the statements is giving us the existence of supersets of E. Okay. Number 2 tells us that outer measure of this region is less than epsilon. Such a O exists for every epsilon. Later, we were saying that there exists one superset of G, which is the countable intersection of open set, such that whatever this region G minus E is having outer measure 0, that is the set is measurable. Okay. Now same kind of criteria is true for the remaining two sets, remaining two statements 3 and 5. Look at this 3. What 3 says? For every epsilon greater than or for given epsilon greater than 0, there is a closed set F contained in E. F contained in E means what? If this is my F, this is E set. Okay. Sorry. F contained in E. No. Therefore, this is E and this is F. Correct now? F is subset of E provided outer measure of E minus F is less than epsilon. What is the outer measure of E minus F? What is the region E minus F? This is the region E minus F. Correct now? This is the region E minus F. For a given epsilon, we were finding such a subset F, rather a closed set, which is the subset where the outer measure is. Then number 5 statement tells us that there is a set F in F sigma. Now what is F sigma?
Countable union of open set.
Countable union, closed set.
Closed sets.
Closed set, right? This is countable union of closed set. See, whenever we were taking countable union of closed sets, may I say we were getting a bigger sigma set, bigger closed set. Whenever we were taking intersection, we were getting smaller set. Here, the existence of supersets is there, and then we were taking the intersection. Here we have the existence of subset, and then we were taking its union. And what kind of set F is? This is closed set. And this F sigma is countable union of closed set. Therefore, number 3 statement and number 5 statement deals with closed sets, and this F in F sigma, that is F itself, is written as countable union of closed sets, such that F is a subset of E where the outer measure is 0. Outer measure of which part is 0? Outer measure of E minus F is 0, means this region. Na? And if outer measure of this region is 0, what does it mean? This set is measurable. This is what the statement tells us. Now the aim is actually to prove all the 5 statements are equivalent. For the sake of convenience, as I have explained this 2 statements by forgetting the statements, that is 2, 4 on one side, 3, 5 on another side. Therefore, while proving the equivalence of the statements also, first we will prove 1, 2, 4 equivalent. Okay, what I am going to do? First I am going to prove 1, 2, 4 equivalent. Then we will prove 1, 3, 5 equivalent. And as one statement is common, one can say all the 5 statements are equivalent. Okay. Now how should I prove 1, 2, 4 is equivalent? 1 implies 2, 2 implies 4, 4 implies 1. Correct now? This is the aim I wanted to prove. 1, 2, 4 equivalent. Now to prove 1, 3, 5 equivalent, what should I do? 1 implies 3, 3 implies 5 and 5 implies 1. Okay. Therefore here 1, 2, 4 are equivalent. Here 1, 3, 5 are equivalent. 1 is common. Therefore one can say this all statements are equivalent to one another. Yes or no? Which property of the equivalence relation I have used? Is it transitive? 1 equivalent to 1 equivalent to 2, 1 equivalent to 3, therefore 2 equivalent to 3. Transitive property of the equivalence relation we have used in order to prove this. Okay. Is the idea understood? How we are going to prove this? Shall I start for the actual proof now?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood now? This 2, 4 gives us the existence of supersets. 3, 5 gives us the existence of subset. Rather, 4 is the countable intersection of the supersets. 5 is countable union of the subsets. Okay, let us prove the statement. Let me start with the actual proof. Okay, therefore now the first aim, first claim is to prove 1 implies 2. Look at 1 and 2 again. 1 is E is measurable. 2 is we wanted to prove for a given epsilon greater than 0 there exists open set O containing E with this statement. Okay. Now in order to prove the existence of this, do you remember some kind of statement we have proved earlier also? Let me just show you. I think after F sigma, G delta F sigma definition, we have proved this proposition. Number, I think it is somewhere on page 41. It is, yes, I found it. See, this is what a proposition is. Given in any set O, we have proved for given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set O containing A with m star of A strictly less than by m star of A plus epsilon. While proving the statement, actually we have proved less equal, but later I came to know that it should be strictly less. Therefore, I just made a correction. You just please note this. Therefore, this is m star of O less than m star of A plus epsilon. Okay. Now we were going to make use of this proposition. We were not going to prove the result again. Now with the help of this proposition, we were having an existence of this open set. We were having the existence of this open set with this property. Okay. Now I'll just conclude with the proof. Okay. In order to prove 1 implies 2, let me just write what we have with us. Let E is, or let E be measurable set. Measurable set. Okay. What to prove? We will write every time because we should be very clear what is assumption, what to prove. What to prove? Given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set. There is an open set O containing E with outer measure of O minus E less than epsilon. Okay. Now what I am going to write directly by using this proposition. Okay. Before that, I have to prove the result in two parts. What I will write here. This is step 1. Okay. In that, we will consider case 1. What to prove? What to assume? Let m of E finite less than infinity. M of E is finite. Then by the proposition. By which proposition? Which I shown you just now. No? We are not given the numbers. Here I will write page number 41. Okay, by the preposition, this preposition now I am giving an existence of. There is, for given epsilon greater than 0, or given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set O containing E such that, what such that? M star of O strictly less than by M star of E plus epsilon. In the statement we have written for A, now I am writing for E because E is the measurable set. Is that okay? This is what we have proved already. For given epsilon greater than 0, there is an open set O containing E or E contained in O, such that this statement holds. Now, what we wanted to prove? We wanted to prove M star of O minus E less than epsilon, because this existence of open set we have, but we have different conditions. Here the condition we wanted to prove is M star of O minus E less than epsilon. Now we were having M star of O is less than M star of E plus epsilon. Let me call it as statement number 1. Now look at the both the sets E and O. May I say both E and O are measurable? No doubt E is measurable because it is our assumption. What you think a reason for O is measurable? We have proved it now in previous lecture that every Borel set is measurable. In that we have proved every open set and every closed set is measurable. Therefore, may I say this open set O is also measurable? Therefore, shall I write now E and O both are measurable. Both are measurable. Okay, this will imply, may I write, this will imply O minus E, that is O intersection E complement is also measurable. Why we have written O minus E? Because we wanted to prove M star of O minus E less than epsilon. O minus E, which is O intersection E complement, is also measurable. Correct or not? O is measurable.
Yes, ma'am.
This is measurable. E measurable. What about their complement? This is also measurable. What about their intersection?
Measurable.
Because we have proved that collection of all measurable sets is algebra and sigma algebra. Therefore, intersection is also measurable. Now, what I will write? I will try to write this O in two parts. Which two parts? This is O. This is E. I try to write this O in two parts. E and this part. Now, what is this part actually? This is O minus E. Therefore, now I am going to write this O as a disjoint union of measurable sets. Okay? We know that O can be written as E union O minus E, which is disjoint union of measurable sets. Which is disjoint union of measurable sets. Okay, now let us take outer measure. What is the outer measure? M star of O. What is the outer measure? Is it M star of E added with M star of O minus E? Reason, M star is finitely additive. Correct, no? M star is finitely additive. But each and every set involved in this discussion is measurable, and we know the fact. What the fact we know? That whenever we have measurable set, M is equals to M star. Therefore, can I write this as M of O equals to M of E plus M of O minus E. Or you can write as it is also. Okay. Therefore, M of O minus E is equals to, I think it is better to write M star. Because the aim is to prove M star, no? M star of O minus E less than epsilon. Okay. M star of O minus E. Yes, this is M star of O minus M star of E. Correct now? Yes or no? What is the value of M
Yes,
star of O
ma'am.
minus M star of E then? By equation number 1. Is
Less
it
than
epsilon?
epsilon.
Less than epsilon. Good. Therefore, it is giving us M star of O minus E less than epsilon. Epsilon. This is from 1. Okay. Thus, we have proved M star of O minus E less than epsilon in the first case, assuming this is finite, because the proposition we have written, this is for the finite measures. Now we will proceed for case 2, assuming E is infinite. E is having a infinite value. Let me write case 2. Let M of E equals to infinity, or M star of equal to infinity. What I have written here also, M of E, M star of E. M is equals to M star, that we know actually. For writing M or M star doesn't matter. Okay, now we'll prove it for infinite case. Okay, now to prove this for an infinite case, what we were going to write, we'll try to express this set E as a countable union of finite measurable sets. Countable union of measurable sets having finite measure. Okay, to do this, what we know, we know that R is written as countable union of open intervals. Okay, and E I am going to write as E intersection R. Therefore, what is R actually? Union IN, and from 1 to infinity. Therefore, can I write this as countable union, and from 1 to infinity of E intersection IN. Okay, and whatever is this new, I am going to call as EN. And whatever the new interval, I am going to call it as E intersection IN. What about this EN now? EN is measurable with finite measure. Why it is measurable? Because E is measurable. IN is an open interval, is an open set, is also measurable. Intersection of these two measurable sets is measurable. Right? Therefore, may I say here, each EN is measurable, and M of En is less than infinity. It is a finite measure. Why it is a finite measure? Because here we were taking the intersection with open intervals. Okay, finite open intervals. Therefore, what is the nature of IN? IN is of the type AB, no? What is its measure? B minus. That is some finite value it is having. Therefore, if I am writing En as intersection with a measurable set having finite measure, therefore, whatever is this intersection is also having a finite measure. Correct now? Therefore, what we have done, we have expressed E as a countable union of measurable sets with finite measure. Now, whenever this En is of finite measure, previous case is true, because the previous case 1 we have written for E, a measurable set having a finite measure. Therefore, by case 1, can I write this kind of statement? M star of O minus En is less than epsilon. For every En, we will write one open set. Therefore, we will name those open sets with the suffixes On. Okay? Is that okay? By
Yes,
case
ma'am.
1. By case 1, there exists an open set On containing En. Right now, why I have used the On? Because for every En there is one open set. That's why we have used the parameter suffix En to this O. Therefore, there exists open ON containing En such that, what such that? M star of ON minus En less than epsilon. Check. What this case tells us that for outer measure to be finite value, there is an open set O containing E such that M star of O minus E is less than epsilon. Same statement I am using. By case 1, there is an open set On containing En such that M star of On minus En less than epsilon. But instead of epsilon, for the sake of adjustment only, we will make it as epsilon upon 2 raised to n. Because epsilon is less than epsilon upon 2 raised to n. That is true. Right now. Now, this is what an adjustment we have made. Okay. Now, what the job we wanted to do, we will take this required set O to be union of these open sets. Union of these open sets. And what is countable union of open sets? Is open set again, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, I am taking O to be union n from 1 to infinity ON. And this is nothing but an open set. This is nothing but an open set. Now, making use of this relation, we will try to find out the relation between O and E. What is O? Union En. Sorry, what is E? Union En. And what is O? Union On. And what is relation between On and En? This is the relation. Therefore, what can I say with this relation? As On or En I will write. As En is contained in On, may I say union En is also contained in union On? Right now? Therefore, may I with this say E also contained in O? I hope it is very clear to everyone. I am not making any kind of confusion. E is union En, O is union On. Relation between On and En is contained in On. En contained in On gives us E contained in O. Therefore, we found the existence of open set containing E. What remains to prove simply? M star of O minus E less than epsilon. Therefore, let us find out what is O minus E. Okay. Okay. Hence, what is O minus E then? O minus E is actually union N On minus union N En. Okay. Which is union N On minus En. Is it okay to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us take outer measure on both the sets. Now set A is union On is contained in, not equal to. This is actually contained in union On minus En. This is one of the properties of the set theory. Union A, union B is contained in union A minus B. Okay, so this is what the relation. Now I will take outer measure on both the sides. What this gives me? Outer measure of O minus E is less than or equals to outer measure of union On minus En. Right? Then which property should I use now?
Monotone.
Yeah, which here we have used M star is monotone. Now I just use countable subadditivity property. What is countable subadditivity property gives then? Is it summation n from 1 to infinity M star of On minus En. Correct? M star of On minus En. But what is M star of On minus En we have written?
Less than epsilon.
Yes, it is less than epsilon. And for the sake of proving the result, we have written this. We have selected the epsilon value to be epsilon upon 2 raised to n. Why 2 raised to n? One can select 3 raised to n, 4 raised to n, anything you can select. Because just we want to make the summation to be less than epsilon. finally. Okay, therefore may I write here, this is m star of on minus n strictly less by epsilon upon 2 raised to n. Therefore here may I write, this is summation n from 1 to infinity epsilon upon 2 raised to n. Strictly less I am writing. Epsilon is independent of n. The summation n from 1 to infinity 1 upon 2 raised to n. What is the value of summation n from 1 to infinity 1 upon 2 raised to n? This one. Geometric series, no? It is. What's the value? Geometric progression. In case of geometric progression, sum is actually a into 1 minus r raised to n upon 1 minus r, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
And whenever we were having mod r less than 1, that is that common ratio less than 1, how we were writing the summation? Because as mod r less than 1, r raised to n tends to infinity will give us a 0 value. So the summation runs out to be a upon 1 minus r. What is a here? First term, no? What is a?
1 upon 2.
Yes, it is 1 upon 2. What is common ratio? One upon 2 raised to n is the series. It's a common ratio. Is it 1 upon 2 again?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the value? Half upon 1 minus half. 1 minus half is half. Half upon half it is 1. Therefore, we are getting this summation as 1 and therefore this v remains with epsilon. What is the left hand side? M star of O minus E less than epsilon. And here's the proof of the second statement in case 2. It is not possible to cover this proposition in one lecture. In today's lecture, we have taken this. Okay. Therefore, while proving 1 implies 2, we have taken 2 cases. So one case with finite measure, one case with infinite measure. Now what we will do, we'll try to prove 2 implies 4. Okay, 2 implies 4. In this 2, we have proved an existence of a superset of E, which is an open set with this property. Now in 4, we have to just take the countable intersection of those existed open sets. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll go to step 2. Okay. What is the claim in this step 2? 2 implies 4. What is 2? What is 2 is in our hand? A statement we have proved just now. This 2 is in our hand. Aim is to prove this 4. 4 tells us that there is a set G in G delta, that is countable intersection of open sets containing E where outer measure of G minus E is 0. So we will write what is in our hand. What we have given epsilon greater than 0. There is an open set O containing E such that outer measure of O minus E less than epsilon. Okay, and what we wanted to prove, there is a set G in G delta with E contained in G and M star of G minus E equal to 0. We'll try to understand what this G minus E is actually going to. Whenever we were proving E contained in G, what is G minus E? This section again, right now? And our aim is to prove that this section is having outer measure 0, that is this will be a measurable set. The job we will do is, we have an existence of open set which is a superset of E having this property. We will simply take a particular value of epsilon and for every epsilon we will give the existence of one open set and finally we will take the countable intersection. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, we we will select one epsilon specifically, and for every epsilon we will give the existence of open set E. Therefore here I will write given, say epsilon, I have to write in terms of n because I have to take the intersection, countable intersection with the n. Therefore what I am trying to write, say epsilon is 1 upon n. Epsilon is 1 upon n. There is an open set. Now what is the name I will give? ON I will give. ON containing E. लक्षात आहे का ON का म्हणतो? इप्सिलॉनच्या प्रत्येक व्हॅल्यूसाठी एक सेट मला मिळणार आहे. इप्सिलॉनची व्हॅल्यू जर n च्या भाषेत असेल, n इक्वल टू 1 साठी पहिला सेट मिळेल मला O1. n इक्वल टू 2 साठी इप्सिलॉन हाफ होईल, O2 मिळेल आणि कंटिन्यू. करेक्ट ना? There is an open set ON containing E such that m star of ON minus E less than 1 upon n for all n. Less than 1 upon n for all n. Now take, what to take? G. What G I am going to take? Intersection of all open sets. Correct now? This is countable intersection of open set. Therefore, may I say this belongs to G delta. G, if I select this as a countable intersection of these open sets, no doubt it will be a member of G delta. Therefore, one part holds. G in G delta holds. What remains to prove? E contained in G. Whether E contained in G or not. E is contained in ON. Therefore, may I say E is contained in intersection ON also?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If E is contained in intersection ON, may I say E is contained in G also? Second proof holds. This holds. What remains to prove? Outer measure of G minus E is equal to 0. Let me start with finding G minus E. Okay. E contained in G, G is in G delta. These 2 points are clear, I think. Okay. Next, if I am taking G as intersection ON, may I say G will be contained in every ON?
yes, ma'am.
If G is in every ON, E is in G and E is in G. Therefore, may I say G minus E is contained in ON minus E. Let me show you with the sketch. See what is the situation. This is E. What is given? E is in G, right? This is in G. But G is in ON. Rather every ON, na? For all N. Okay. What is G minus E part? This is G minus E, no? Correct, na? What is ON minus E? Is it this part? ON minus E. Very easily you can check. That G minus E is contained in ON minus E. Right now? G minus E is contained in ON minus E. This is what I have written. Okay. Now if G minus E is contained in ON minus E for all N, let me just take a outer measure. What is outer measure of G minus E then? Is it less equal by outer measure of ON minus E? But what is the outer measure of ON minus E? We have written.
Less than epsilon.
Number. Cannot even 2 it was. Let me give it as 3. ON minus E is less than 1 by N. Therefore, here I will write less than 1 by N from 3. M star of G minus E less than 1 by N for all N. Just take limit n tends to infinity on both the sides. What will happen? Yes?
Less than 0, but outer measure is non-negative.
Therefore, shall I write equal to 0? Less than or equal to 0, it will hold with equal to 0. Taking limit n tends to infinity. M star of g minus e is equals to 0. Thus, we have g in g delta such that g contains e and outer measure of g minus e is equal to 0. Okay. Any difficulty in this?
No, ma'am.
You have to make some little practice. Lastly, let me go for step number 3. What is the claim in step 3? 4 implies 1. So that one part of the proof will complete. Right now, what 4 implies 1 gives us? This is what 4 is. And what 1 is? 1 we wanted to prove is measurable. Okay. Therefore, here I will just write directly, since m star of g minus e is equal to 0 and g is in g delta. May I say g minus e is measurable?
Yes, ma'am.
G minus e is measurable. Also, g is measurable. Why? Why g is measurable? G is in G delta. What this G delta is? Countable intersection of open set. Every open set is measurable. Therefore, this is countable intersection of measurable sets. Therefore, this G is measurable. Correct now? Thus, can I write E as G minus E? Can I write E as G minus E? This is measurable. Okay. This is also measurable. What about their intersection? This is
Measurable.
actually G intersection G minus E complement. If G minus E is measurable, G minus E complement is also measurable. If this is measurable, what about their intersection? Measurable.
Measurable.
Therefore, E is measurable set. Thus, E is measurable set. So, what we have proved? We have proved 1 implies 2 implies 4 implies 1. First half you can say it is completed. Therefore, we have proved the statement 1, 2, 4 equivalent. Now, we will stop for today. In the next lecture, we will prove 1, 3, 5 equivalent. Okay? Any difficulty in today's lecture? If you have, you can ask me. You have to make some little practice to understand these points. Okay? Actually, point to point, I have made it clear. Right now, every step I have given you a clear idea. Okay? Let me stop for today then. In the next lecture, we will go for proving statement 1, 3, 5 equivalent. Thank you for being with me for this today's lecture.